Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with the next update for my project Level Up. This project was created by me last year and I'm doing it again this year, where basically you have a palette and then you go for different levels. So for level 1 you hit one pan and use every shade once, level 2 2 times each and 2 pans, and so on. And you can continue on after level 5 if you wish, but I think every single one that I've seen do this, as well as myself, choose to reset the project after level 5. So I am currently on level 5 and the palette that I've been working on is my Through My Eyes palette. I will share with you where I am with this palette. I rolled it in last month, and yeah, just let you know how I'm doing, if I have leveled up or not, and just how many pans I've hit and so on. But before I jump into the palette, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So I'm just quickly jumping in because if you haven't seen any of my recent videos, I'm putting this one into the intros of all my videos recently because I wanted to just give you a quick update on where I've been. So I updated this properly in my Project Apocalypse video, which was the first one that went up after my little hiatus here. But basically my laptop completely broke. I have a MacBook it's from 2016, so it's quite old, and basically it stopped charging. It came out of nowhere, so it broke kind of out of nowhere, and because of that I haven't really had a way to edit videos. So that's kind of where I've been. I mean, that's a long story short, but that's kind of where I've been. So I'm currently, as of today, waiting still for my laptop. It is the 3rd of July, and I've been waiting for it for like about a week now, and it said it will come between the 6th and the 10th, so I still have a few more days before it's here. So I'm kind of pre-filming, and my goal is to update every single day for the remainder of July. So yeah, again, if you haven't seen my Project Apocalypse video, I'm going to cover this a bit more then, but I just wanted to film a quick intro in case you haven't seen that, just to let you know where I've been. But now let's jump into the video. So before I forget to mention, I will also have the playlist with everyone else who's doing this project linked down below. It is the collaborative playlist from last year and this year, so you can binge some Project Level Up content if you wish, and that again will be linked down below. But this again was the palette that I was working on, and I will insert here the picture of where it looked like, or what it looked like last month. So I already had a couple of palettes in this palette, and I did have a decent amount of use. It's actually one of my favorite Colourpop palettes, so yeah, it was quite used already. And this, you guys, is where I am today. So we'll have the comparison post off next to me so you can see, but let's go for each shade. So the first shade in the palette is Lucidio, and I had used this one 6 times, so I have completed my 5 use goal. Next up we have Wild Soul. I have used this one 5 times as well, so again it's another one that is completed. I did have pan on both these before, as you can see. Next up we have Mesmerize, which is actually one of the pans that I hit this past month, and it only took me 5 uses, so exactly the 5 uses to pan. It's quite a flaky shade, and I already had a bit of use on this one, so I think that's why it moved quicker. Then we have the second pan in my palette, which is Sandalwood, and this one took me way longer than Mesmerize to hit pan on. This one took me 18 uses, and I used this one mainly as like a kind of last transition or like a blending out shade, and it worked really well for that. Moving on to the second row, I'm simply going to cover all of them at once because I have used every single shade on the second row 5 times each, and no new pans here, but you can see I already have 3 pans on this row. For the third row, we have the shade Emerald Dream, which is my 3rd pan. This one actually only took me 4 uses to pan on, but I had a massive dip in the shadow since before, and then I used it 1 additional time for a total of 5 uses, so I have hit my goal on this one too. Then next to that we have my 4th pan, which is Muse. This one is a slightly more kind of bronzy version of Mesmerize. Mesmerize needs more orange, and this one needs a bit more kind of brown. But this one took me 8 uses to pan on, so a little bit longer than Mesmerize, but yeah, I used them in a very similar way. Moving on to the next shade, we have Divina, and as you can see we have my 5th pan. This is actually my most recent pan. I pan on this one, was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday I think, and it took me 12 uses in total this month to pan. Yesterday when I used it all over my lid, and then I blended it out in my crease with a couple other shades, but I used it as like a base for my shimmers on my lid, so I think that's kind of helped me to pan because I used quite a lot of it that way. But again, it took me 12 uses to pan on Divina. Then next to Divina, last on the 3rd row, we have the shade Flex, and this one I also used 5 times. This shadow was one of that I was thinking about hitting pan on originally because it is such a beautiful eyeshadow, but I feel like if we were in autumn or winter I would have hit pan on this one, but since we are in summer I'm leaning more towards warm tones at the moment, and this one is just a bit too cool tone for me, so I did use this one a lot as like an accent shade because I didn't really want to feature this kind of really cool tone shadow all over my lid at the moment. So you know, it's a beautiful eyeshadow, but I did use it in quite a small manner. Then on the last row we have the shade Nostalgia, which I used 5 times. Then we have Moody, which I also used 5 times. Second to last we have the shade Nocturne, which I did use 6 times, so 1 more time than needed. I was thinking about hitting pan on this one for like a quick while in this palette before I decided on Divina. That's why I used it 1 additional time, but it's a nice shadow as well, so I'm glad I got a bit of extra use out of it. And then lastly we have the shade Misbehave, which I also used 5 times. And that, you guys, means that I have hit my goal of 5 pans, and I have also used every single shadow in here at least 5 times, so I can level up. I did not expect to level up this palette so quickly. I did not expect this to be done in a month. Granted, I am filming this a few days later. I'm filming this on the 8th and it's going up on the 9th, so tomorrow. And again, I hit my last pan yesterday, so it's very, very close to the update. And I am behind. If you haven't seen my other videos, I did have some issues with my technology. My laptop broke, so I couldn't edit my videos. So that's kind of why this update is a few days late. But in hindsight, that's kind of good because it meant that I could level up this palette before the next update. So that is it for this palette, you guys. I'm gonna roll this one out, and since I have completed level 5, I will reset the project and I will start back at level 1. So I'm gonna pull out my Tiny Decisions app and we're gonna roll a new palette. I'm actually quite nervous today. I don't know why. I've been very excited before, like rolling a new palette, and I am excited too, but I'm a bit nervous this time. Maybe it's because I've been lucky with the palettes that I've drawn so far, but yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna go ahead and pick a new palette and see what I get. So I have my product level up wheel right here. You can see the ones that are blacked out are the ones that I've had before. I'm gonna make sure that I have selected no repeating options. Yep. So I'm gonna go ahead and just pick the next one. And again, I'm very nervous, but let's see what I get. Mar. Okay, I forgot, but I actually don't have this palette anymore. I forgot to delete them from this spreadsheet. I decluttered Mar and Lilac a lot, and I put them into my singles, so those are no longer here. So we're gonna have to re-roll. Biba. Oh, okay. This is one of my newest palettes. It's one of Natasha Denona palette, and it's one of the large palettes as well. I was just thinking earlier that if I pull one of my... I'm so torn. Let me pull out the palette and I'll look at it and see what I want to do. So we have the palette right here. This is my Biba palette. I got this from my friend Martina. I bought it off her very, very affordably, and it's almost a brand new palette. She didn't use it much before she sold it to me, and this is what it looks like on the inside. It is actually a perfect palette because I haven't reached for this palette at all yet since getting it, and it's one that I want to reach for, but it's just about hitting pan on the Natasha Denona shadows. They are very, very deep, and again, it's not much use in here, and I don't really want to necessarily dig into a pan, but I do want to get use out of this palette. You know what? I'm gonna pull this one in, but I'm gonna put a single, like a used gold, just for my Natasha Denona palette. Maybe I'll put this in again in the future if I pull like my Pat McGrath palette or something like that. But I'm gonna pull in this palette. I'm gonna use every single shade, and I'm gonna try to hit one pan, but if I can't hit a pan within 30 uses, so we're gonna focus on a shadow and use it 30 times, and if I can't hit pan within those 30 uses, I will kind of veto this out. I will count as like all completed. Again, I will try to hit pan. I mean, I guess in one of the cream to powder formulas I should maybe be able to hit pan, but we'll see. Let me swatch this palette out, and yeah, let's see what I have to work with. Here we have the swatches of the palette. This is the top row, middle row, and bottom row. So, you know, looking at the palette, it's actually quite a good palette to roll in. I can use this a lot with other things. I think it's going to be very, very easy to reach for every single thing once. The 30 uses one or pan is going to be the most difficult. Right now, just looking at the swatches, I am leaning towards focusing on this eyeshadow right here, which is a cream to powder, and it's kind of like a transition shadow. It is this shadow right here called Tone. So right now that's the one I'm gonna lean towards using, or potentially one of these two shimmers, which is Shine or Monroe. Those two, this one here and this one here, are very pretty as well. But that is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna roll this palette in again. I'm gonna try to hit one pan, but I don't want to necessarily like overuse the shadow used to hit pan on it. I don't want to have like one eyeshadow with like a big hole in it and nothing else in here used. Maybe I will reach for this palette more than once each. Maybe I'll keep using it while I'm having it out. It is a very, very pretty palette. It's definitely one that I've been wanting to use since I got it. So I'm gonna use this as an excuse. And yeah, if I can't hit the pan within 30 uses, I will count that as completed. I hope that's fine with you guys. But yeah, that is going to be the update for today. I'm going to switch out my Through My Eyes palette for my Biba, and I'm very excited actually. I'm excited to reach for this palette. I'm just a bit nervous about hitting pan on it. So that is it for today, you guys. I really, really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Again, check out everyone else who is doing this project down below, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye guys.